Hello everyone, this is gonna be a bit of a different kind of video, but I wanted to talk about something. So, when the patch came out last night, obviously we also get all the stuff for the new season dumped, and we'll get access to that later, and some stuff was leaked. I'm not gonna cover anything in regards to side order spoilers, because I don't know any of them, because I haven't looked for them. I want to go into it completely blind. However, some info that we do know is that there was a theoretical planned Splatoon 2 update with some of the gear in the game, which had been pushed back a while ago from Season 5 to Season 6. And now seems like, according to the game's files and info from notable data miners, that the gear is being pushed back again from Season 6 to Season 7. For reference, the Drizzle season we're on is Season 5. 6 would be Chill season happening around November or December, I forget. And more gear being pushed back. Uh, Nacho over here goes in a bit more detail, saying side order is delayed even more. Although I don't think it's releasing at the end of the year, the date is a placeholder, meaning at the end of 2024. Whatever season is Splatoon 2 themed, Season 5 initially, then 6, now delayed 7, side order will release along with it. And they also go on to clarify that this is more than just the gear as evidence. There's other things planned in the game's code that would likely be releasing around side order to fit the theme. And I mean, it does make sense, especially with, in my opinion, and there's just a theory. I think the Splatoon 2 Plaza will be released with side order as well, especially with Splatoon 1 coming out in a Splatoon 1 themed update. It just makes sense. But we know of the winning animations because we've seen some of them. We've seen the gear pushed back. Obviously, a Splatoon 2 themed update would make sense, especially given that the next weapons to be added were dualies and umbrellas, which are Splatoon 2 weapons. Which, on the one hand, it makes me curious, what are they going to do for Season 6 now? Are we going to get the dually umbrella and something else happens for Splatoon 2? Sorry, I had to move the mic a bit. Is there going to be some kind of new special added? Because we've seen something in the game's code hinting at it. I don't know if I can have it over here. Uh, I'm not sure if it shows up somewhere. Yeah, it might not be on these accounts, but there has been a new special kind of talked about a little bit. That's something that's going to happen. We don't know like anything about it other than codename Chimney, so I don't mind talking about it because like we don't know what it does. Like right now, the closest thing we can tell is some kind of wall construction, which wouldn't make any sense. So it's very incomplete. So, content might change for what we're going to get in Chill Season. Chill Season might be a very scuffed sixth season, kind of like how this one was. As much as there's been some stuff to make this season seem a bit better, like a lot of the new decorations and stuff we're getting and titles, this season is still probably going to end up underwhelming. I have to talk about it when the review comes out. And now it seems like this Splatoon 2 themed update was probably going to be a big update, and now that's going to be pushed back to season 7. We get 9 seasons total, so it's going to be definitely a lot later. Maybe there's more reason to suspect content could be extended now, considering things are being delayed. And I don't say this in terms of just like, obviously as a consumer I want it to happen. I say this in terms of if if the best of news is happening, which the developer interview seems to support this, if they're prioritizing the health of the devs, then this might mean that content is being spread out over a longer period of time because they don't have enough time and resources to put in the game as much. And that's what I would think, given this was initially season 5 content. There's probably stuff planned for seasons 8 and 9 that would either have to be merged and happening faster or would have to be pushed out slower. Obviously, that's stuff we have to think about for the future. But for the time being, I do believe that Side Order was probably going to release around the same time as season 6 and the Splatoon 2 themed update. I think that I agree here in that the placeholder date of December 2024 was almost certainly a placeholder date. It wouldn't make any sense. And now we might be getting it closer to like February of next year. It might be a bit after that. And that would also kind of coincide with the Splatoon World Championships happening in late January. They could drop the final trailer there and then, side order coming soon. It could make a lot of sense. We have to see. But I wanted to cover this because I have a bit of a take on this. I'm okay with this at the end of the day. I will criticize, and this was kind of a discussion in general. I will criticize the company of Nintendo for how content is handled and released. If a season is underwhelming, it should be on the company for making these decisions. And to be clear here, I fully think it's fair to criticize the DLC for being underwhelming. When they showed off this game in the Direct, 2 years of content being added to the game was part of that. If, as a consumer, it doesn't seem up to par for whatever reason, or if it seems like the amount of content we're getting is diminishing and less than what it seems like we should be getting, then we have a right to critique that. That is part of what we paid for. And, of course, you're paying for the online to keep playing this game for the longer period these updates come out. However, I think it's more than fair that I'm glad at least it seems like things might be being pushed back and the developers might not be as overworked. Hopefully. Even then, we don't really know. But at the very least, we aren't getting this Splatoon 2 update rushed out. They are willing to delay it twice for a total of like 6 months of delay. That's probably a pretty good sign. If anything, I think that there probably has been a lot happening with Splatoon 3's development. There had to have been some odd things happening. Obviously, the maps are the biggest indicator when things, suddenly shifted in design. But I'm willing to bet that this game probably had some development problems going into it. And I think that at the end of the day, I am okay with the delay for stuff like Side Order for it to be good. Side Order, I think, is especially different because this is a single player campaign. Multiplayer stuff can be put in the game and adjusted later. If you add a bad stage, you can rework it. If you have a weapon that's underpowered, you can fix it later. Like that's what happened with Snipe Rider. And in fact, often it's safer to maybe not have it as good as you might think it needs to be. A single player campaign is released once. And that's it. It's not going to ever really change substantially from its launch point. Side Order is the most important Splatoon 2 DLC, or Splatoon 3 DLC we're going to get, akin to Splatoon 2's Octo expansion. If delaying it is needed to ensure it can be on par, or even potentially by some miracle better than Octo expansion, then I'm fine with it. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be disappointed that it's going to come out this late, that it might be over, like, close to a year after it's initially revealed. I know that sucks, but I want Side Order to be good. Again, I'm not trying to excuse things. I think Nintendo could have handled it better. As a company, it is clear that there are some things handled with Splatoon 3's development that could have been changed. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to blame the devs. I think it's clear that the development team is working hard with this game, and if there's one thing I can say about this delayed set of updates, there has been nothing added in updates that has negatively affected the game. Splatoon 2 added stuff like having Ray have that outside beam that made that problem worse, or they've had stuff like MPU being added to the game. They have added things that actively made the game worse, and we haven't had that yet with these updates. If they're taking the safer route to ensure the updates are going to be things that are a net positive overall, then I'm okay with it. Again, I'm not justifying it. I'm saying I'll personally be okay with it. I think that, yeah, it's fair to say the content amount and it slowing down is stuff that shouldn't be happening. And of course, there's things like kits that absolutely could happen faster. But at the end of the day, a lot of these are questions for the company. And as well, a lot of this is speculation and things we don't know. We can barely tell from data mining on some of the code stuff that happened to leak over that stuff's gone pushed back internally. And even then, this is internally being pushed back. We were never promised Side Order this year. So even then, it's hard to say that there's a lot of promises that are unfulfilled. But yeah, Side Order seems to have been delayed. And, that's my thoughts on it. It's a complicated subject, and this is also an area where, I am no means an expert. I'm not a data miner. I'm not an expert on what would go on in this internal game development stuff. I can only give my opinion from my perspective as an outside player. So, again, take everything I say with a grain of salt. But in my perspective, I think the best way to approach this, it's good for the devs if things are being given more time. That's always good. I think things being delayed to come out well, like Side Order, is important. And if there's going to be critique thrown at update content slowing down or being underwhelming at times, or things like the kits that really should be having more, it should be directed at Nintendo as a company itself. And I will do my best to make sure I make that clear in any future videos on the main channel. So yeah, that's this little news thing. Thanks for watching. And by the way, I uploaded a Mario Wonder reaction to the same channel. So check it out. I do other things besides Splatoon. I might post a little bit of variety stuff on here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Unrelated side note over. Bye, guys.